Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Tuesday. It is another amazing day. I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. This is Morning Inspiration with Friends. We are here every Monday to Friday, Lord. Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Central Time. You can catch me here. You can catch all of the replays on YouTube if you are watching it right now on Facebook. Yesterday, we had our friends from LinkedIn that were there with us. We had a great conversation yesterday about transferable skills and pivoting in your career and not really believing only the hype that is portrayed on social media. So if you are one of those people that are like at a crossroads, you're like, I don't really know what's going to be next, then you definitely need to go check out yesterday's message. Definitely a good message. So today I want to talk about limiting beliefs. Now, many of you may or may not know, but I do have a course. It's called Side Hustle 101. This is where I introduce different side hustles from apps, websites, and then your own gifts and talents that you have within you that you can actually utilize and turn it into some form of income, whether it's creating a digital product, creating a print on demand, offering services, creating something that you have always wanted to create. That is what that course is going to do. I talk about passive income. That's all module four. Module four is about to get updated. I'm about to add private labels, private label reselling, PLR. Like literally, there's a lot of information. Four modules, one low price. And right now, if you go to my link tree, you will see a promo code HOPE25 and you'll get 25% off of that course. And that is for the course. And there's also an opportunity to work with me to take that gift and talent and to help you to cultivate it into maybe even more than one. I've had a client before that I worked with her. We started with one idea, and by the time we finished the coaching package that she had at the time, she was able to create two different ideas, two separate ideas that were still related to her business, related to everything that she was doing, but it ended up just being two separate ways for her to make additional income. So that's what I love to do. That's what I want us to have, the lifestyle that we want. And a lot of times that's what's stopping us, is that we don't have the means. And then people are always telling us, well, get another job, we'll get a second job. And sometimes that's just not doable. And it's not sustainable long term, right? This is someone who has actually worked two jobs at one time. And when I say hustling and bustling to leave one place to go to another place, it is very hard on the body, physically, mentally, emotionally, within your relationships or socially. It has a lot of different impacts. So that's why I want people to start tapping into and figuring out how can you start to make passive income or money online. It may not just be passive, but it can be money that you can make online. So that's what I love to do. But before we can even get there, we have to talk about the mindset, right? So I'm always in the comments. I'm always reading comments. I mean, like certain topics. You talk about entrepreneurship. You're talking about millionaires and billionaires, and there's always a group of people who just feel as though that they'll never be able to accomplish anything of that nature. So what I have noticed, and I was talking to one of my good friends over the weekend, and I have mentioned this. I was like, how do you think when you hear people talk about becoming having millions, what is the way that they typically correlate that to? Like, how do they describe that they're going to get these millions? And she was like, the lotto. I said, exactly. I said, and that's kind of sad because we have so many gifts and talents that can help us to make millions of dollars. Everyone doesn't have to become a millionaire because of the lotto. We have gifts and talents. You have the ability to take what you have earned and then you can go back and invest it. Sometimes the gift and talent is not going to be the millions. It's going to be how you invest it, right? The investments, the strategies. You know, for so many years, I didn't have a high yield savings account, right? I wish that I would have acted on what people were telling me to do years ago. I think about that now because I'm like, dang, if I would have tapped into back in 2019 into my high yield savings, where that account could have been now, 6 years later, right? But it's okay. I didn't do it. I did it now, and I see the results of it, right? So it's not always that you're going to go out there and become a millionaire because you're going to be a famous singer, a famous actor, but you can have those resources and just simply knowing to not put it into your Bank of America or Chase savings account, which is giving us literally pennies. And I know people that have thousands of dollars in those savings accounts, and they're only generating a couple of cents every month. And then when you start telling them, like, well, why don't you put that to a high yield savings? Some of them, they didn't even know that it was like a huge difference. So it's like we have to start believing, what the people are telling us of how to multiply so that we can really start to see that there's a potential way for us to build this wealth, right? We have to get away from believing that we're only going to become a millionaire based off of the lotto or based off of if I become famous and I'm selling all these albums or I'm in movies and commercials, right? We saw there's a documentary that came out. I'm not going to name the name, but there was a documentary that came out over the weekend, right, on Netflix. And it proves that some of the people were famous, but they were not wealthy. They don't have any money. They're not getting paid for what they're doing. So we can't truly believe that anymore to be the case. That's how people are going to make their money. But they can still utilize their gifts and talents. You can utilize what you're making, the resources at your jobs, and how you can utilize those and to start multiplying. But again, it's about the mindset. If you don't believe that you can make more money so that you can invest, right? I've actually met people. Again, I'm an adult educator, so I don't only teach in colleges, I teach in workforce programs, trade schools, and I've actually had adult students 30s, 40s, and 50s who have told me, who have said out their mouth that they don't believe that they're going to ever make more than $50,000, $60,000 a year. And these are talented people that don't see their own talent. So they already put a cap as to what they're going to make, right? And so that's quite sad because there is no, to me, at least to me, I believe that we have the ability to earn more if we have more knowledge of different opportunities. See how I said that? I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you're going to earn more if you learn more, right? Because you can learn a lot of things. There's a lot of people out there that have every course, that have every book, and they're not earning more. So you have to actually take the actions of the opportunities that are actually coming towards you so that you can start to take those actions, so that you can start to see these different things. Like I said, most people have heard of things like high yields, compound interest. We've heard of these things, mutual funds. And some of us have probably believed that's for the rich people. That's for the people that make six figures. But that's not the case, right? I opened up my high yield savings, and when I initially opened it up, I opened it up with $500. I didn't open it up with $10,000, with $5,000. I opened it up with $500. And if you can find programs, you can find companies and organizations that will allow you to open it up with even less of. And then you just start adding. You start adding $100 a month. You start adding $50 a month. And when you look at the ends, compare it. See, I always say, keep your bank's savings account and just start to compare. And when you start seeing that your high yield is giving you $1 for having $500, whereas you may have $5,000 in your bank savings account and you're only getting 6 cents, it starts making you think different. Like, well, maybe if I took out half of the 5 from this, banking savings and put it into my high yields, maybe I will have a little bit more. And then you can start to reinvest that money. You let it sit there and you can just continue to let it to build. Right? But it's like we have to get out this mindset of thinking this is for them and this stuff is for us. All of this is available for all of us. We just have to start to believe that it's a mindset thing. Because I'm telling you, I know people that have sat online, sitting in people's lives for hours Okay. And it's like, no matter what the person says on those lives and in those videos, there's always going to be one person who's like, man, that ain't going to never apply to me, man. I ain't going to never be able to do nothing like that. I can never. They already have this mindset. It's embedded in them. It's in their language. It's pouring out of them. It's coming out their pores. That's all that they believe. They don't believe that they're going to ever have more. And that's why I say a person like that, you can give them the blueprint. You can even give them the initial investment, and they're still going to believe it's not possible because their mindset has not shifted. You have to get a little delusional. Now, don't get too insane, but you have to get a little delusional. You have to start believing that this stuff is kind of possible, right? You might not become a millionaire, and that's fine. But the way that a lot of people right now are struggling to just buy groceries, to just buy gas. And so when someone like me says to them, I got an opportunity for you, or bet, download this app and start using it. Many of you have probably heard, if this is your first time, I'm Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. I'm here every Monday to Friday. So I just want to just throw that back out there. There is an app called Field Agent. Field Agent, I like Field Agent because if you shop at Costco's, Target, Walmart, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Family Dollar, those types of stores, they have what they call bounties, where you will go into that store and let's say you're looking for the display for Duracell, right? The batteries. And they're gonna ask you to take pictures. They're gonna, where's the position of it, and then you just upload those pictures and you just answer those questions directly into the app, and you might get like $5 to $7. Now, sometimes some supermarkets, I remember one time the supermarket near my house in Brooklyn, there were 4 bounties in the supermarket that I was going to, and so I'm getting what I needed to get. I saw that they had these bounties and I knocked them out, right? I made $20 in the same time of me buying the groceries. $20 before I started work that day. I will never forget that. And I remember the person who told me this is a pilot. How much does a pilot make? I want you, even if you don't write it in the comment for the people that are here, but if you are here, how much do you think pilots make? Okay. So a pilot told me about this app that I can make $5, $7. The most that I've made it in one bounty was like $15. And that was at Metro PCS. And that was just solely to check out phones. And that was it. I didn't have to sign up for new service or anything. When I share this with people that did not have jobs, people that were not making enough money, and they were the ones that were going into these stores, right? And someone said to me one time, yo, I don't have car fare for work. I'm from New York City. We take the train. Back then, it was $2.75. I'll never forget this. So a pilot tells me about this app. I tell someone who has very little money, who has no ability right now to get the car fare that they need so that they can go to work, so that they can continue to make some money. And know what that person said to me? That's for poor people. I was floored. And so it's like you have some people like the pilot who has the mindset, I can always use a couple of more dollars. And then you have someone who's like, man, that's a scam. That's for poor people. Meanwhile, they are the person that have the need. And so I'm always having these kind of conversations because when I speak to people that do make a very decent, livable wage, they have more than enough, multiple homes. When I'm having conversations with them about ways to make more money, they are always interested and intrigued. But the people that don't have and are always in need, they're always asking for money. They're always going to be the ones borrowing. And again, we can change these narratives. But when I start to have those conversations where there's no money, you don't have to pay anything up front. You see how I didn't say buy my course? And so I can tell you how. I told them the solution. I gave them the answer. And that was their response. That's for poor people. That's a mindset. The other day, someone had posted, I know, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She is an actress. Zoe, you know who I'm talking about. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I think I took a screenshot of it because I'm always floored when I hear people make certain comments. And so I guess Zoe was in some kind of commercial for maybe like T-Mobile or something. And so someone said, oh yeah, here it is. They said, so I see Zoe has had issues, but she's an Oscar winner and one of the highest grossing actors of all time. So why is she doing T-Mobile commercials with Instagram comedians? And so someone had commented, and the only answer is money, right? And I think another person, there was a actor who had spoke about this in one of his interviews, and someone had quoted him, or they put the screenshot, and they said, this is no different from this person, basically saying, who wouldn't want $2 million more to do a 1-2 day set? I mean, 1 or 2 day shooting for a commercial. Who wouldn't want that? But you have some people who really feel, look, I always say, as long as it does not have any compromise to me, my morals, is not putting anyone in harm's way, it's not hurting anyone, it's not hurting society in any manner. Yes, why wouldn't I? Right? So we have to get out this mindset. If you know people that have that mindset of everything is a scam, everything is for broke people, that's not real, they're not willing to take a chance, then you already know that person has so many limiting beliefs and they're blocking themselves. So when you start talking about mutual funds and high yield savings and side hustles, in their minds, immediately they're turned off. Like someone said to me, I don't need $1 million. I just need like 80,000 and I'm good. And that's fine for them. And that's cool. Because if you're really good, then you're good. But when you're not good, and then you keep borrowing money from people and people are trying to give you solutions. I'm solution driven. I don't like to sit and talk about the problem and only talk about the problem. And this is the problem, Tanisha. Great. So what is the solution? Because every time I had a financial problem, I had solutions. And in the beginning of my life, I'm not going to lie to y'all, my early 20s, I'm spoiled. I was able to pick up the phone and make a phone call and either meet me and pick up the check, or I'm going to deposit into your account. That was my reality. And guess what? All good things come to an end. I no longer had those people. Those people were they're no longer in my life. And so when life started to happen, I had to start tapping into solutions. I had to start believing that this was possible. When 2020 happened, I just knew we're about to be locked in the house. Oh, it's time to tap in. I didn't go as hard as other people. I have met some individuals that have literally made 6 figures during the course of 2020's pandemic. They zoned in. And I love that for them because they tapped into every single thing that they had access to. And I tapped into what I had access to. And I'm proud of myself because it's like, dang, I was able to purchase a second house without having to call someone and borrow from them, without having to have someone else to figure it out for me. So when people say none of this is possible, I'm here to tell you it is possible. I'm here to tell you that, yes, you can get a bill for $1,000. Your anxiety could go up for a moment. But then guess what? We turn around and we get into action mode. What's action mode? What's going to be the solution? Okay. Bola said, one of many problems, hey, Bola, is that people don't want to act on a solution. They don't. Bola, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I said that. You can give them the solution. You can hand it to them. Signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours, right? And they will be like, they will have an issue with that. They will find an issue with that. So that's why I say the reason why a lot of people are in, again, we're not talking about trying to become billionaires and millionaires, right? We're just talking about literally right now survival. The people that have the mindset, oh, I'm never going to make more than $50,000 a year. There are people that think that way. There are people that think they'll never be able to make more than $15 an hour. So I want to talk to those people because I need for you to shift your mindset. Your life is not going to change until this change. Because I'm telling you, there are many people that wake up, go online, create resumes. Half of the stuff is not even real. And I'm not saying do this, but I'm telling you, those people are so determined to make it. That's how they end up being your boss. I remember when I worked at a workforce program, and I had a lot of amazing women in that class, right? And it was all women. It was a women's program. And I just started to pick up. It wasn't that they didn't have skills. A lot of them worked for companies, and then all those companies shut down, sent operations overseas, and these women were now finding themselves unemployed for the first time after like 20, 22 years. That was a lot of their stories. And so that means that they had the skills. They were administrative assistants, executive assistants, office coordinators. They had really good titles. And so they were looking at me like, Miss, I don't have any skills. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have any skills? You have a wealth of knowledge. You have transferable skills, right? We spoke about that yesterday, transferable skills. And so I printed out a job description. And I knew that majority of the women in that room had the qualifications of that job description. And I handed it out to the class and I said, read it over and y'all let me know, would this be a position that you would apply for? And tell me why. Why or why not? Half of them said no. And what they were looking at the 10 requirements. Most of them had about 7 or 8. And in their minds, I don't have all 10. So you're not going to apply because you have 7 or 8 out of the 10. But no offense to some men, but there's going to be some men that's going to apply and they only have 2. And because your name is not in the hat and you're not going to be considered, out of the people that are there, they're going to choose the person out of what they have. Well, most companies will. Some companies will have some dignity and be like, no, we can't. Let's do this again. We need to find the right person. But some companies would just say, we got to pick from what we have. And they're going to pick the person who has the 2 out of the 10. And so I'm like, and then one lady, she was like, well, the salary is too high. The salary was like 65. And that blew my mind because I also know, and I went through this for a little bit, maybe like in my early 20s, early 30s, where I would see a salary and it would intimidate me. Like, now that's why I love the younger generation. They're like, nope, I want 165 and better. I want equity. They want stocks. They want it all. They're going after that. And you still have people that are saying, no, 65 is too much because I've only made 50,000. I've never made 65. They're afraid. They're afraid to go into that. Look, I can understand somebody being afraid because of the tax penalties. But again, you get you a good CPA, an accountant, a good tax person, and they can help you to navigate that. Don't run away from, an opportunity because of the fact that you're afraid of going into a new tax bracket and, they're going to take more money from you. There's different ways. You can always maneuver that. Don't let that be your fear. And if that is your fear, please reach out to me. I will put you in contact with someone and they can at least help you to navigate that. Never let that be the reason why. And for some people, that might just be the reality. They just don't want to deal with the more taxes. Look, give me $1 million. We're going to handle them taxes real well. Okay. So again, I just want us to get away from this mindset. Stop putting limitations on yourself. You don't want to be a billionaire? That's cool. But I need us to start taking action so that we can get ourselves out of these situations that we're finding, where we're seeing more people facing eviction and homelessness. And I'm not saying that it's their fault, but there are some times, right? I was in a situation in 2016. And at the time I had a partner, and that partner did not want to take action so that we would not face homelessness. And so to me, I always remember that. There are some people who want that narrative of, because Eric Thomas, he was homeless, because my ex was like that. Eric Thomas was homeless. We'll get through it. Bro, Eric Thomas was homeless as a teenager. We are so grown. We can avoid this. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, mindsets. And so that's why also y'all hear me talk about relationships and mindset. You got to find someone that has a similar mindset, because if someone is saying to you, oh yeah, Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas were homeless, we can get through it too. Yeah, go back and listen to their stories. When were they homeless? Yeah, they were homeless when they were teenagers. We're in our 30s. We can go out there and make it happen, so we don't have to face that reality. And that's what I had to do. I took a job that was paying me less than what I'm used to as an educator, just so that I did not face homelessness. And thank God, I can honestly say I never lost that place. So this is why I speak on these things, because again, some people, you're not around those type of individuals that's going to help you, pull you from that situation, pull you from that dirt, because you do not have to go through all of those hardships, right? Use what you have access to. But until you start changing that mindset, I don't care what anyone's, like I said, someone can give you the blueprint and the investment money to get started. If your mindset is not there, you are not going to see it. You're just going to continue to just see what you want to see. Okay. So I'm gonna stop there. I am your girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Like I said, we do this every Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Central Time. We talk about different topics. Right now, we're just in a wave of, I want to help people to start tapping into their gifts, their talents, because that's what I'm passionate about. When we start tapping into those gifts and talents, we get closer to operating in our purpose, and that is what God wants all of us to do. So we have to have these kind of conversations. We have to start thinking bigger. We have to start praying bigger and start believing that God is going to answer those big prayers. I know I am. And I'm telling you, if you continue to follow that and you just believe it, you will also see the fruits of what God can do when you start dreaming and thinking bigger and start taking action. Like Bola said, some people want to stay in that problem. They don't want to act on the solution. But people like me, people like you, if you are here, if you're still watching, then it means that you do want to take action, right? So hit me up, connect with me on social media. You see down below, you see my IG. You can connect with me over there. My TikTok, you can also connect with me. I'm more on Instagram than I am on TikTok. But I am Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Have an amazing day on purpose, with purpose.
Wow, Tanisha, that was a powerful message. I hope everyone was blessed by today's message. Listen, if you are not tuned in, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Meet us for morning inspiration with friends every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m.-ish CT time. See you next time, friend.